Chapter 10, Bridges of Understanding. Nick led Anne, James, and May through the throngs of central London, guiding them to the open expanse of Trafalgar Square. It pulsed with life, tourists snapping photos beneath Nelson's column, street performers entertaining lively crowds, and the ever-present flutter of pigeons dancing across the pavement. For the group, the square offered a welcome contrast to the hostility they'd just escaped, its openness a balm for frayed nerves. They found rest on the wide stone steps in front of the National Gallery, its neoclassical facade rising like a bastion of serenity above the chaos. The gallery's grand columns loomed in stoic silence, bearing witness to the quiet recovery of those gathered at its feet. Anne let out a long breath, resting her elbows on her knees. That got far too close for comfort, she muttered, glancing over her shoulder as if half expecting their pursuers to reappear. I can't believe how fast it all escalated. May turned to Nick, her expression softening with gratitude. Thank you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. You stopped that man before he could do something unforgivable. Her words faltered for a moment, heavy with emotion. I don't know what I'd do if I lost them. Nick met her eyes, his voice calm but sincere. You don't have to thank me, he replied. I couldn't just watch. No mother should have to go through that. A pause settled over them until Nick gestured to their suitcases, gently steering the conversation elsewhere. So, are you still heading to your boyfriend's place? Ex-boyfriend, Anne snapped, her voice edged with ice. Her jaw clenched and she looked away, the mere mention of him rekindling a flicker of anger. Nick blinked in surprise at the sudden shift. Oh, I take it things didn't go well? James stepped in, clearly having heard the story before. Bit of a saga, really. The flat we were going to belongs to our grandfather, or used to. He was gifted it after the Great War for his service. We figured it'd be a decent place to land while we got sorted. Anne folded her arms tightly as her brother continued. But Matt, Anne's ex, never told us that his grandfather's a raging bigot. Turns out he absolutely despises anyone from the UAA. May's voice was even, though weariness crept in at the edges. He unleashed a storm of slurs at us the moment we stepped through the door, she said. I've heard worse before, but that doesn't make it any easier. Nick's expression darkened with sympathy. That's awful. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. He paused, then asked, So, what's the plan now? May tapped her finger against her knee, lost in thought. We'll likely have to find a place in one of the mega flats, she said eventually. They're cramped, noisy, and barely maintained, but the rent's manageable. We need to find jobs, too. Sooner rather than later. Yeah, Anne added, a touch more quietly. It's not ideal, but we'll make do. Hopefully, it's just a stopgap. James nodded, his voice firm. We've been through worse. We'll manage. Without hesitation, Nick made an offer that stunned them all. Why don't you stay at my place? He said. It's in London, and you'll be safe there. May, Anne, and James exchanged incredulous glances, momentarily lost for words. That's incredibly generous of you, Nick, May replied, her tone cautious but sincere. But we can manage on our own. We're not helpless or in need of charity. There was a quiet steel in her voice, a mother's pride refusing to bend easily. Besides, you've already done enough, and we don't even know if there's space for all three of us. Where exactly do you live? Nick met her gaze evenly. Billionaires Row. The silence that followed was electric. Billionaires Row? James spluttered, staring as if Nick had just sprouted wings. You're kidding. You live there? Anne echoed, eyes wide. Where the houses cost more than entire city blocks. Her disbelief was written all over her face, her tone laced with awe. Technically, Nick said with a small shrug, I'm staying at my uncle's place. That only seemed to raise more questions. May tilted her head slightly, her expression now a mix of curiosity and measured skepticism. And who exactly is your uncle? William Stenhouse, Nick replied, founder and CEO of Midas Industries. Another silence fell, but this one was heavier, filled with dawning realization. Anne's mouth opened slightly, the name striking a chord. You mean the Midas Industries? The one behind half the tech in the country? The same company designing AI for the government? Nick nodded modestly. That's the one. James let out a low whistle, still shaking his head. So let me get this straight. You're just casually living with that William Stenhouse. Like it's the most normal thing in the world. Nick felt a surge of vulnerability welling up inside him. The bond forming between them was built on trust, and it was time to offer something deeper. It's a long story, he began, his voice lowering slightly. But let's just say my uncle's made plenty of enemies over the years. Since they can't get to him directly, they go after those he cares about instead. Recently, that included my parents. The Black Death took them. The mood shifted instantly. The light buzz of Trafalgar Square seemed to fade into the background, replaced by a quiet stillness that settled over the group. Anne's face softened, her eyes wide with shock. Nick, I'm so sorry, she said gently, her voice barely above a whisper. That must have been awful. Nick gave a small nod, appreciating her compassion. It's all right, he said. I'm just taking things one day at a time. His attempt at stoicism was laced with quiet grief. May studied him with new eyes, her expression contemplative. That's a heavy burden to carry, she said. It's brave of you to share it. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. But I'm still not sure if we should accept your offer, Nick. Billionaires Row? It's a generous gesture, but we're not looking for handouts. Anne leaned towards her mother, switching to Mandarin, her voice hushed yet urgent. Mum, come on, what's the alternative? Find a mega flat and pray one of us lands a decent job before rent's due. Nick's offering us something stable, and it's not like we've got many options left. May's lips tightened. I just don't know if we can trust him. He seems kind, yes, but I've seen how people change when they've grown up around wealth. I don't want us to be blindsided. He's not like the mum, Anne insisted. You always said being kicked out by your own family taught you who to trust. Well, Nick's put his life on the line for us twice now. Nick watched their exchange with growing interest. Though he couldn't understand the language, the tone, the emotion, it was all there. When a moment of silence fell between them, he tilted his head. Forgive me for asking, he said lightly. But what were you saying in Mandarin just now? Is there something I should be worried about? James gave a chuckle. Nah, don't worry. They do that when they want to keep something just between them. It's like their private little club. Anne grinned, but quickly turned serious. Mum said we should ask about your upbringing. If we're really going to consider this, she wants to know more about you. Nick recognized the depth behind Anne's question and took a moment to gather his thoughts, choosing his words with care. To be honest, he began, I wasn't raised in luxury. My parents always wanted a normal life for me, something grounded. There were times when I resented them for not letting us live with my uncle at his estate. I thought they were holding us back. But now, I understand. They were trying to teach me independence, self-worth, how to work for things rather than expect them. May listened closely, her expression softening as his words settled in. Your parents sound like remarkable people, she said gently. I'm so sorry they're not here with you now. Nick gave a small nod of thanks, a flicker of sadness touching his features. It's been hard, he admitted, but their lessons stuck with me. They made me who I am. Life isn't just about wealth. It's about the values you hold, the people you care about, and who you choose to become. Anne's eyes shone with admiration. That's incredibly inspiring, Nick. You've clearly worked hard for everything. You didn't just fall into privilege. You earned your place. Exactly, May agreed, her initial reservations melting away. You have a good heart, and that's rarer than any billionaire's fortune. Nick smiled, feeling a genuine connection forming. I just want to help. After everything you've gone through today, offering a safe place is the least I can do. It's temporary, sure, but it'll give you space to breathe, to plan, to rebuild. There was a moment's pause, filled only by the distant sounds of city life. Then May gave a small nod, her decision made. Very well, Nick. We'll go with you. A bright grin spread across Nick's face. Brilliant. Let's head down to the underground. I'll get us on the line to Billionaires Road. With a renewed sense of purpose, the group gathered their suitcases. Together, they began weaving through the crowd in Trafalgar Square. The echoes of laughter, music, and chatter surrounding them like a backdrop of hope.